All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we are out in the desert at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the season opener of the Dark Horse Area 51 IndyCar Series. Hope you all had a wonderful little break for those couple weeks and already seeing sneaking in there. Good evening, Joe. And yeah, good. I'll say El Paso is ready to see what that number. So I got to find him on our list here again. Joseph Grijalva, see what that 47's got in store for us this evening as well. So hope you guys enjoy the show tonight. And of course, got to welcome in my partner in the booth tonight, Boomer Logan. Boomer, glad to have you back, sir. We're bringing these 200 plus mile an hour monsters here to Las Vegas, 125 laps scheduled distance. Of course, only one fast repair and also no green white checkers over here. So that 125 mark is the number that these guys are going to have to pretty much plan for. And we'll see if we see any pit strategies or anything like that over the course of tonight's race.
Yeah, thanks, Gael, for having me again tonight and for the season. I'm looking forward to being back in the Dark Horse Area 51 IndyCar Series, like you mentioned. Las Vegas is a fun track. I can't think of a single car that doesn't race very well here. This is one of my favorite ovals in all of racing, so it should be plenty of fun to kick off this third 2022 season here tonight.
Yes, and that's the big part too, is like I said, the start of the new season and a lot of new names, a lot of new faces. So it's gonna be fun to see who's kind of who's able to kind of get familiar and get going right off the bat. So we've got a lot of regulars over here as well. Defending champion, I should say, Nick DeGroot here to try to defend that title. But then of course we got a couple front runners that we're used to seeing, like Matt Wagner, of course, in the field as well. And then if one of the new drivers that I have seen with Area 51 before, it's been a little while, AJ Musselman. So he's hopped back over here as well. But then you got some brand new drivers, the 42 of Justin Carey. Obviously Joseph Grijalva, he's been here a little bit as well. Brad Ringer, I think, is raced on and off, but he's here as well. Dylan McIntosh, new to the series. You got CJ Holloman as well. And then I have to go double check here, so I want to make sure I don't botch things to kick it off here, Boomer. But then you have the number 81, and it's going to be Christian Alesio. So again, Christian, I'll do my best to try to keep after that over the course of the season. It'll get more and more familiar over the races, but bear with me. We might butcher it a couple times here and there tonight. But yeah, so right now it looks like 19 cars that made it to the race here tonight. Looks like 16 have put a lap down at the moment, and it looks like a couple more on track. So looks like drivers thinking qualifying might be a crucial one. Maybe track position might be more of a name in the game than we might have expected coming into tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely gonna get the early season jitters out, or try and get ready, get some extra laps in here, getting back into the swing of the season for sure. Just trying to get some extra time here. We'll see. Couple minutes, or about a minute here left in that lone qualifying session, as you mentioned, Gael, before we are going to go toe-to-toe with about 19 race cars here tonight. So a decent-sized field for the IndyCar series here, and should be a fun one for sure. A couple new faces that you already mentioned, a couple regulars, and obviously you mentioned already Nick DeGroot looking to, I think, go 3 in a row. He's won the first 2 championships here in this IndyCar series at Dark Horse in Area 51 for 2022. So I believe at least trying to three-peat here for Nick DeGroot. Definitely one of our strongest front runners here, but there are plenty of names here that showed all throughout last season that they were plenty capable of trying to win races. So it is going to be an exciting battle for sure.
Yeah, exactly right. And it looks like with that qualifying just completing here, as you can also see the sunset in the background. So we'll see if that comes into play as well here, Boomer. Maybe the temperatures might be changing, saying that could affect how these cars run this evening. But with qualifying completed, let's pull up that starting grid, because it is going to be indeed our defending champion Nick DeGroot on pole position, and it looks like by 0.02 of a second over Craig Forsyth. Definitely expect to see those two going toe-to-toe all season long. And I'm going to actually, honestly, I would say, I'm looking at the list right now. I mean, you look at that top 10, other than Justin Carey, a bit of the unknown. I mean, you've got 9 of the top 10. I mean, these are guys that you expect to see up there with Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, and we'll continue down the running order here with Matt Wagner third, AJ Musselman, Yari Brupacher, Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, Jim Brooks, and Justin Carey, Luis Gonzalez Nunez in 10th, and then Jeff Heisong and Gary Corley in 12th.
All right, and starting in 13th will be Dan Morera with Joseph Grijalva to his outside. Brand Ringer in the 15th position, Joseph Morales to his outside, Dylan McIntosh, CJ Holloman, and Christian Alacio rounding out the field for the night. Hopefully we do have that right, Christian. Let us know, but it'll be one that I'm sure in time we'll get used to and should be fun.
Yeah, so just more reason for him to run up front, though. We have to say his name more often.
Exactly,
But
there you go.
and actually, surprisingly, he was actually the one driver that opted not to put a qualifying time down there. So right now, everybody's starting to get gridded up here. Looks like you got 2 drivers left to hop on track. But yeah, we're going to be kicking off season 3 of 2022 here in just a moment. And it's going to be mostly ovals here this evening. So I'll try to pull up the season schedule as well if we get an opportunity to. Say just getting everything squared away, getting everything lined up here. So it looks like obviously kicking off here in Vegas. And then next week, it's going to be a tricky one, Boomer. They're going to be going to the very fast, high-banked mile oval at Dover. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm curious to see how that one's going to pan out. And then, of course, to one of the bread and butter tracks for, in my opinion, with these cars, Pocono, followed by Chicagoland, Worldwide Technology Speedway, Kansas. And then we're going to be jumping over the Atlantic and going to Spa for the road course on September 20th. And then finishing up the season, second half will be at Auto Club, Kentucky, Michigan, New Hampshire, and of course our season finale at none other than Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun series this season for sure for the 2022-3 season. Dover is going to be an interesting one for sure, but we've got a lot of tracks that we've been to fairly recently that hope to be another fun and exciting battle. Obviously, going back to Gateway Worldwide Technologies Raceway is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to Michigan and Auto Club. Those tracks are, in my opinion, a lot of fun to watch with these cars in the 2-mile-an-hour or 2-mile configuration, I should say. Spa, I love it. Love, definitely a very famous track, as well as Indy to finish up the season. So going to be plenty of action here all season long as we look to get started tonight with the first race here at Las Vegas.
Yeah, say one thing, you can see on the bottom there, CJ Holloman actually had to jump to the pits there. Not sure if an issue with the controller or something going on there, but so he's going to look like have to start from the pits. So he'll drop probably about a half a lap behind the field here, which again could be a blessing in disguise. You never know here as the field's waiting for that green flag to fly to kick off this season. Waiting for that flag, and there he goes, our season underway. As again, you see, these cars a little twitchy there under the throttle there. It looks like everybody hangs on to it, though. But it's going to be Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner breaking away from the field as we go into turn number 1 for the first time.
Yeah, a bit of a slide sideways there for Craig Forsyth just off of the start there, but everyone looks to be out and away fairly quickly here. Looks like we're all settling in so far. A little bit of dual wide, 2-wide action throughout the back of the field, but our top 3, 4, 5 starting to pan out just a little bit here. Definitely fast-paced action at these 1.5-mile tracks in these Indy cars, and it's definitely always exciting to watch.
Yeah, exactly right. And I can confirm the 58 is on track. Yeah, and he's about a straightaway ahead of the leaders. So as they came out of 2, he was entering 3. So he's in it. Oh, we got one down on the apron. Oh, into the inside wall. I think that was Gary Corley, actually. And yeah, that car's coming to a stop, and he's already actually down onto the apron there. Let's go back. We'll try to take a quick look at Gary and see what happened here out of turn 2. We'll pick up the speed a little bit, and just something went wrong with that car. Not sure if it was a previous incident or not, but unfortunately, Gary having to take a tow. And also got to mention, it looks like the 58 back on pit road as well for CJ Holloman. So really tough starts to the season for the 58 and the 7. Looks like the 7 may have already retired as well. The CJ still on pit road, but right now Nick DeGroot continuing what he does best, and that's controlling this field here. As you've got now Yari Brupark. I said we got a pack race right now. Looks like Daytona Talladega with these Indy cars, as they are lined up 2 by 2 with everybody just trying to jockey for a position here. Now let's see how fast Nick DeGroot's going. Let's see, through 3 and 4 drops to 213 miles an hour for a split second there, Boomer, and then through the travel inning into turn number 1, he's going to get all the way up to 221 miles an hour. So only an 8-mile-an-hour swing as the leader, but of course, as we know, draft is going to be important here tonight. Wonder if maybe some drivers maybe starting to think fuel mileage right off the bat here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen for that pit strategy. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned and you're showing the speed. Like, it is absolutely insane how fast these laps really do click off here at these 1.5 miles. I mean, they're running 25-second laps. 25-second laps to go 1.5 miles. I mean, that is blisteringly fast in these cars. So, any wrong move really quickly can happen, can happen really fast, and, your day can pretty much be ruined. But one thing I did want to mention, you mentioned there, Jari Brubacher already up to 4th there. That's a guy that had quite a forgettable season. We do see a car off into the infield there, looks like.
Yeah, Justin Carey hangs on to it. I think he just got to the outside of the cone, so I think he might get away with it. I think it's just a little stack up out of turn number 4 here. We'll watch once more. And you can see, big bobble there out of 4, and then does a little bit of lawn mowing. But you can see just trying to hang on to that thing all the way through. And then right at the last second, I think avoids the cone. So hopefully gets away with that. Doesn't have to serve any penalties here. Does lose a draft, of course. But again, possibly a blessing in disguise, because right now it's pretty dicey from looks like about 5th on back, right behind AJ Musselman. So you're pretty much living 2x2 with Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, and them on back.
Right, with these speeds, it's definitely really easy to to touch when you're that close, and obviously too wide is a little bit hairy, but they can make it work here. But I was going to mention earlier that just Jari Brubacher definitely had a season to forget in the 2022-2 season, so he's hoping to look to rebound here and hopefully have a strong showing tonight already up front early on. But yeah, plenty of laps to go left in this one as Nick DeGroot continues to lead the field with Matt Wagner and Craig Forsyth behind him. Gonna be interesting to see, like you said, how many pit stops everyone's gonna plan to be doing. There's even though it's a 1.5 mile track, there's definitely a lot of the draft or the tow going on. So you have to kind of play that smart to, if you're the first car in line, you're probably going to use the most gas out of anyone else in the field.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, right now Nick DeGroot probably getting the worst mileage of anybody on the track right now. From the numbers I was hearing, probably a 3-stop race for most of the field. I could see somebody maybe try to pull some 2-stop strategy if they can really save hard here. I think, if I remember, I think the magic number was lap 42 would be the number you need to get to be able to make it on a 2-stopper. So we'll see if that comes into play. But we do need to mention right now, I was going to say a little bit ago that the highest climber was that number, where did he go actually? Joseph Grijalva, but actually, Joseph actually not showing. I don't know if he fell out or something happened to the 47 car, but he's showing out of the race as well. Not sure if it was a connectivity issue or what, but we'll have to see what happened to Joseph as well, because I'm trying to see if I can find on my timing and scoring. And yeah, that car just kind of disappeared on my radar, so unfortunately possibly a connection hiccup for him. But that now moves our highest climber right into that 76 car, Brad Ringer. You see him there working that second line there up top in that black and white car there. So I can't quite tell the sponsor on the side, apologies. And then actually right behind him, we talked about starting shotgun in the field. And that's going to be Christian Alesho right there in that number 81 car, up 9 position there. Saying a very colorful paint scheme on that number 81 machine. But yeah, right now, again, just in the thick of the pack. And I treat this like the plate race right now, Boomer. I kind of like the Dylan McIntosh, Dan Moreira strategy here. I'm going to stay a little bit at the back here. And I think just save. Oh, yeah, update on Joseph. I'm sorry. Yeah, I lost internet, unfortunately, for that number 47.
Yeah, for those of you that are familiar with our Sunday night Xfinity Series Super Speedway races and the Thursday night Truck Series Super Speedway Series, Guile and I definitely tend to differ in our strategies as far as plate racing goes. So, I would definitely take the Nick DeGroot and Matt Wagner mentality of try to lead every lap. But we've definitely seen where that can get some people in trouble. And, being up at the front and trying to be there, making the moves, sometimes you get caught up in a little bit of chaos. And sometimes it is better to lean back a little bit and just let the pace run out of the race and, slowly make it to the finish. And sometimes it is just the survival of, attrition, really.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'll say while we're in kind of the middle of the run here, I'll say we'll run through the field a little bit so that way we can kind of get a better look at the paint schemes and the drivers. As well as say pull up obviously our series defending champion Nick DeGroot there. Say that looking pretty similar there with that motorsport sponsorship on the side in that number 89 car, yellow and black. And right behind him, our second place car of Matt Wagner, sporting the green white checkered paint scheme tonight. So I always appreciate Matt repping us here. So he felt like this car might be, or the paint scheme I should say, might be some good luck in that one. So I'll say we'll see if that comes to fruition as well. And then right now, side by side for third and fourth. Right now, it's Craig Forsyth that has it. I believe part of the 4D Racewear sponsorship, working with Jim Herrick there in that number 27 car. And then, like you talked about, Jari Brupacher there right outside of him, that kind of the black, yellow, and purple paint scheme. Number 49 machine right now in that top 5 as well. And then you go over to AJ Musselman in the number 54 machine, yellow and white, and trying to make out the sponsorship here. But these cars, one, they're moving too fast, and two, there's not a lot of big body panels like these stock cars to really get a good look at them. But he's right now running just outside the top 5 next to Jim Brooks in the 51. As the admin of the series, you got to rep the league. So number 51, Area 51 sponsored machine. And rolling back to 15, or the 15 car, I should say, Luis Gonzalez Nunez. I think he's one we're going to be watching this season here, Boomer, because he came on strong last season. And he's definitely got some good sponsorship aboard that race 24/7 on the side of that one, ESTV as well. So definitely keep an eye out for him. And then drop to 8th, Eric Peterson. It's at ESTV on the side, Dark Horse Racing as well. Again, kind of the partner series. And if you're looking for more open wheel racing, Sunday nights, Dark Horse Racing are running the DW12s. And also here, Area 51, Monday nights, the Lotus 79s as well. Just kind of not broadcast, just for fun. So keep an eye out for them. They'll drop back to that 4D Racewear, number 40, pun intended there, Jim Herrick. And then running our top 10, that number 76 of Brad Ringer. And
looks like go ahead.
No, I'm trying to poke around a little bit more here. Don't want to ignore Joseph Morales. That's the iconic target machine. That's one you always have to look for, Boomer, though, for Joseph in that number 60 car. And then we'll just kind of finish it out here. Dan Murrah in that number 26 machine, as also another 4D Racewear team member there. Talked about him just kind of being on cruise control at the moment. I think he's thinking long run here. Next to him, Christian Alesho in the number 81 machine. I'm looking at the picture on the side there. It looks like he's actually got a full-on driver's suit. So we might have to, if we get those top 3 interviews from him, we'll have to get some more details, maybe some real-life racing going on behind that number 81 machine. Looks like Gutsy, the sponsorship on the side of that one. Then we drop back to Jeff Heisong with Black Rifle Coffee Company, number 18. Dylan McIntosh in that McLaren liveried car there in the blue and orange. Very iconic paint scheme, of course. And then, unfortunately, kind of off the draft right now. Still in the lead lap, but way back right now is Justin Carey. And then drops us now back to CJ Holloman in that Carvana paint scheme. About 7 down right now laps. But again, had some technical difficulties, but still sticking out. So always got to applaud the drivers when they can do that.
Yeah, for sure. Love the love some of the mix of the custom schemes and some of the real life paint schemes that you see here. As a stock car guy, I refuse to call them liveries, but some great looking cars here tonight in this series, just as we have in all of our series here that we cover on Green White Checker TV. So, going to be exciting to see these new paint schemes and get a chance to hear about some of the new ones and why people have the sponsors on the side and all the partnerships they have. But definitely a lot of really cool partnerships for some of these drivers. A fair amount of actual real world sponsors that sponsor these guys, so it's kind of cool to see and kind of cool to hear them shout them out when they do get the opportunity to do so, in those posters interviews. But still looking at the front of the field again now, we got Nick DeGroot still leading, Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, Jim Brooks now up to 4th place with Jari Brupacher back in 5th. Definitely starting to pan out a little bit. I mean, still a little crazy as we see some 3-wide action there. Ooh, almost up in the fence there. It almost looks like on the outside there. Not sure if that was, I can't make out who exactly that is on the outside there, but definitely some 3-wide action at least trying to form here. So a little bit of craziness still going on in the back of this pack.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of kind of what the approach is right now. Do you want to push or do you want to just kind of cruise right now? And saying it's that tough position. You can tell Yari, he wants to go. I think Matt, Craig, and Jim are pretty content right now. I think they're in cruise control. Like I said, I think there's some fuel strategy going right now. Also, is being told by the drivers a very, very difficult pit road entry and exit. So the further you can go on fuel, even if you maybe don't cut out a fuel stop, the further you can go, if there's a chance of a yellow during that pit stop cycle and you don't have to pit and get caught out by it, that's just going to gain you track position. So I think there's definitely some strategy going on as well, just trying to stretch that tank out as far as they can. again, just in case something happens with the pit stop cycles here, because again, these cars very, very difficult to get on off of pit road, especially when it comes to that banking transition.
Yeah, that, and it's not a straight pit road. There's quite a bit of curvature to the entrance and the exit once you are actually on pit road. So it's going to be interesting for sure. It's not, most pit roads are completely perfectly straight. And once you get on them, you can kind of look down at your button box maybe and, play with your different pit situations, whether you're taking, tires or fuel or what have you. But definitely have to be paying attention quite a bit more here at Las Vegas. Like you said, that transition gets pretty wicked. Getting onto pit road, and slowing down isn't too terrible. But, when you get off that banking, it kind of wants to unload the car in a different way, and sometimes it causes you to spin out. But definitely need to pay attention here, and we'll probably see a few cars, I would be willing to bet, have an issue or two as they get onto and off of and through pit road. So definitely not the most treacherous pit road on the series or, for any ovals, but definitely not one of the easiest.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And the other thing to mention is going to be pit exit to me, because look how wide the pit exit is, that apron. There's going to be a lot of potential strategies that these drivers could do for how they want to exit pit road. Obviously, they could try to run up by the white line on exit. There's just a teeny bit of banking they can maybe use to kind of carry a little more speed. Or maybe they try to drop it down, kind of shortcut the track, kind of cut it way down and exit that way. So that's going to be another interesting thing to see, because with these drivers as tightly packed as they are, any track position you can get gained during this green flag pit stop cycle potential is going to be huge for their outcome in this race. So I think there's definitely going to be some drivers that have a few tricks up their sleeves and say, you know what, if we do this might make a big difference in kind of how I can get out of pit road. So say all's not done when you get onto pit road. I say that pit exit, those cold tires, it's going to definitely be a little sketchy too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is a very flat exit for sure. You can try to shortcut it, or you can try to go wide and keep a fair amount of pace up. But definitely, I mean, it's going to be just like you said. It's just kind of shaping up to be more of a plate race, and getting on and off of pit road. You can look at the ticker right now. There's a second that separates our top 13 drivers or so right now. So one whole second, and you can go from the lead to outside of the top 15 if you're not being careful.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, when you talk about pit entry and exit, I mean, like you said, I mean, you have the whole field packed in within a second and a half of each other. One little bobble, a miscue in pit road, yeah, you could be coming in, let's say, third position. You could be coming back out in 15th if everybody else is able to nail their stops. But what I have noticed, though, is Craig Forsyth, he's decided, you know what, I've done my fuel saving or whatever it may be, and he said, it's about time to go. And it might be him knowing also, hey, that 89 car Nick Drew, he probably has to pit soon, so I might be able to try to pin Matt Wagner down, see if I can sneak around him here. So far, no takers yet, but we're clicking these laps off very fast right now as we're going to start lap 37 of 125. So right now, still pretty much Nick Drew kind of controlling this thing from the pole position so far this race through. But again, pit stops are going to be, I think, the big question mark that could change how this the complexion of this race here.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, as you mentioned, probably most likely going to be a three-stop race. I believe we said if you can make it to lap 42, it could be a two-stop. So it'll be interesting to see if we think these drivers can stretch it a little bit or not. But yeah, as you mentioned, Craig Forsyth trying to make that outside line work on the outside of Matt Wagner now, trying to make something happen and see if they can get around that 89, who's definitely using the most fuel out of anybody in this draft pack here.
Yeah, but I'm watching right now is, I mean, we're starting lap 39, so again, we're 3 laps away from that magic number, and Nick DeGroot, I mean, he hasn't blinked yet. Again, he's probably getting the worst mileage of anybody, but he's able to hold this lead pretty steady, and you can see even building a slight gap over Matt Wagner, so this will be interesting. And again, if Nick can make it to 42, then at this point, we're going to be changing our story and say this is a 2-stop race to the end, and right now, he's showing no signs that he wants to come in early, so I think we're seeing everybody's aiming for that lap 42 mark, so I think we're looking at a 2-stop race at this point.
Yeah, I think for sure. Definitely going to be potentially a 2-stopper, so we'll have to wait and see if anyone does have to come in before that magical mark of lap 42. But, Nick DeGroot in this time, it looks like.
Yeah, but he's going to actually come in early. So he's not going to come off of turn number 4. He's going to come in early there, use the apron. And that's actually a pretty good call here, I think, because that's going to avoid having any miscues on his pit entry. So he's going to pit coming to 41. He's only a lap shy of making that magic number we just talked about, Boomer. So these guys here probably, like I say, he can probably make that number up in the second run here, but he's going to have to probably fall into a draft at this point. So now the question is, who else blinks next? And oh, there's the potential contact. I think I saw just slight contact with Jari Brupacher and Eric Peterson. Trying to take a good look at that 36 car. I think got away with it there, but that was almost very bad between the two of them. So Jari on pit road as well, coming in at 42. So now, like I said, I think that window is just about opened here. So now it's just who can go the furthest, who's making the best fuel numbers out of these cars.
Yeah, for sure. If you can go a little bit longer, it's definitely going to help. And then later in the race, you might be able to put in a little bit less fuel. It's probably still going to be pretty tight just to make it on 2 stops. But yeah, we'll have to see here. The other interesting thing that we didn't really mention too much yet is kind of mentioned a little bit was the draft too. Nick DeGroot and Jari Brupacher are probably going to come out by themselves. So we'll update you on their lap times as they make a full circuit at full speed and let you know how fast they're running compared to our leaders who are currently running in the 25.0, 25 flat range. So we'll see what once Jari and Nick pass a stripe this time by, what they're going to be looking at for lap times. So interesting to see is actually Nick DeGroot just pulled off a 24.98, so he's actually a little bit faster than the leaders are right now. So looks like he can actually make it. Oh no, I take it back because he's actually caught up to Jari Brupacher. So they're in kind of in a pack by themselves. So that'll help them a little bit as we pan back. Looks like AJ Musselman is on pit road this time by.
Yeah, so AJ Musselman, he's hitting pit road there in the 54. But yeah, it looks like Jari and Nick, they've gotten together. Here's Matt Wagner's. Oh, that was the concern we saw. Oh, big one here on the pit entry. Craig Forsyth was involved, Matt Wagner, and that was the wreck that we were worried about. And this is a huge one here at Las Vegas involving Craig Forsyth there. And so you can see other drivers trying to get these cars looped around, but there's still traffic coming through. You see right there, Jari had to make a quick move to avoid that one. AJ Musselman, though, probably at the right place at the right time for that one on pit road. Also looking, Dan Marrera, he is involved in that incident. So this was the yellow we were talking about. And right now it looks like Jim Brooks is going to net as the leader again, stretching that fuel mileage the furthest of anybody here. So we'll see a lot of green flag pit stops right now for these guys. But let's go back and say, we know it's going to be 4 tires and fuel. But let's go back and see that pit entry once more. So unfortunately, that was what we were afraid of with Matt Wagner. Just caught that apron, and it just the banking difference. I mean, that's what happened there, and that's what we were worried about. So, but unfortunately, he just wasn't able to get fully off of the racing surface. You can see here, and then Craig Forsyth was trying to come along with him, but I don't think Craig was going to have much luck either. He was already having to react to that number 6 car. And then here they come right across the field, right there. I think it's the first car involved. And then from there, I mean, look at this, just a giant stack up, and that's about 5-6 cars involved there. You see the 6, the 18, the 81, the 27, I believe it was. Yeah, the 27, of course, as well. Yeah, I mean, that's a heartbreaker for some of these guys. And some had to take tows, some able to limp it back to the pits, but we just talked about the race complexion completely changes now. And the other thing this does is it traps a number of drivers right on the tail end of the lead lap, going to have to take the wave around, including AJ Musselman that we had just talked about, Jari Brupacher as well. And actually, looking at the list there, Nick DeGroot. Oh, actually, it looks like maybe Nick was the lucky dog, I believe, because he's actually cycled back around to 6. So I think he got the wave around there, Boomer. So yeah, so right now we've pretty much got a net of 7 cars in the lead lap here, which will grow to about 12 with the wave arounds from all the way back to Justin Carey there in the 42 car. But then, yeah, we're going to have, like I said, drivers stuck on pit road here had to take a tow, including Craig Forsyth right there, Joseph Morales, Christian Alejo, Dylan McIntosh, and CJ Holloman as well on pit road coming in this time around. So, yeah, and here comes Nick DeGroot. He's going to pit as well. So, yeah, this is what we were worried about there.
Right, and and I kind of do hate to be right sometimes. I know I mentioned earlier that that might cause some issues for some drivers. So I know, knowing Matt, I know he never ever has any intention of making a mistake like that, and especially when it impacts other drivers. I know that's going to be a tough one for him to swallow, unfortunately. But you kind of have to put it behind you, and we're still only a little over a third of the way through this race, and kind of have to keep going and march on forward. So, but definitely a big break for those of like Jim Brooks, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Eric Peterson, Jim Herrick, Dan Marrera, and Jeff Heisong. Those guys who had stayed out. So definitely going to be a big advantage to them. They got to basically pit for free, and thankfully, obviously, looks like Nick DeGroot able to get, I believe, the lucky dog, actually, whereas AJ Musselman, Yari Brubacher, Brad Ringer, and Justin Carey are now currently trapped one lap down. It looks like Craig Forsyth and Christian Alessio and Joseph Morales are all 2 laps down, with Dylan McIntosh maybe stuck about 3 or 4 laps down. So unfortunate for them for sure, but we'll have to see how it pans out and see if they can get back on the lead lap and try to make them moving forward again.
Yeah, exactly right. And so you can see there go the wave rounds right now. It's all swinging by. So the pace car is going to pick up that 51 of Jim Brooks. And so now the next part here, Boomer, is we're going to restart this thing on lap 50 of 125. So it's going to be just about 76 laps to go. So we talked about the fuel mileage. So, I mean, based on that 76, I mean, that tells us if they can go 38, 39 laps, that should be one stopper to the end from here. And, I mean, I feel like that's going to be doable. I feel like Nick DeGroot got to about that number there. I think he actually got to about 40 if I'm not mistaken. So this could now from here be pretty much right on the edge, but could be a one stopper to the end. But some of these guys were on cruise control like Jim Brooks. I feel like he was kind of just biding his time, obviously based on how far he went on fuel there. Now he's going to restart with the lead. So now the question is, do you want to keep that track position, just kind of do what Nick DeGroot was doing? Or do you need to consider backing down and letting someone by and kind of using that draft once more to your advantage potentially?
Yeah, for sure. I think at this point, even if, we saw in that first run, Nick DeGroot pitted at lap 40. So obviously you can, you were within that magic window with these yellow flags here to be able to go the rest of the way, I think, on one stop, even if you are the leader. So it'll be interesting to see, but Jim Brooks is going to lead us back to the green flag here at Las Vegas, and we are underway again. Luis Gonzalez Nunez in hot pursuit with Eric Peterson just behind him, starting to make some 2-wide action already in the back of the pack, and we're going to get back to green flag racing here. And a little bit strung out here at the beginning, but I'm sure these guys will start to pack up a little bit as the run goes on.
Yeah, exactly right. It's usually about a 1.5 or so second window for that draft. As you see Luis wasting no time. He's going to try to jump to the outside of that number 51, try to see if he can get that lead possibly. And at the line, it's going to be tight between the two. I believe yet Jim will still lead that lap. So right now, not looking like he's planning on rolling out of it and giving up the front position here. Like I said, maybe the fuel mileage looking like what he's wanting there. However, Eric Peterson's going to take full advantage with Luis running the top side. He's going to jump to second. Now he's going to jump to the outside of Jim, try to see if he can get to the point. So yeah, it looks like right now that white line going to be Jim's best friend here as we start lap number 52 of 125.
Yeah, definitely. You can already see everyone starting to pack up quite a bit. Ooh, looks like 3 wide, almost 4 wide. Wow, Craig Forsyth way up in to turn number 1. Looks like he might have gotten to the wall, but I think he's okay. He's still rolling fine. So definitely some big action so far. Obviously, like you said, Eric Peterson really trying to make his way around that outside there. And Nick DeGroot actually just turned the fastest lap of the race, 24:07. So things are starting to heat up here and get a little bit crazy. But yeah, definitely a good opportunity. I mean, I know Luis Gonzalez Nunez kind of had, a great season, kind of a breakthrough season last year. So cool to see him running up front early on in this. And looks like we do see Nick DeGroot starting to try and make his way back up through this pack, and got a couple there way on the outside. That yellow car, I believe that's AJ Musselman out there on the outside, trying to work pretty hard. Trying to make things happen on that outside. But yeah, some crazy 3-wide action so far briefly, but yeah, 2 wide, at least 3 rows back here at the front.
And what you're seeing right now is a very aggressive Craig Forsyth, because he needs to get around Jim Brooks, because right now he's 2 down. If he can get around that 51 car, maybe even get in front of him, he could actually jump from 2 down to the lead lap if everything works to perfection for him. So This could be a really good opportunity for Craig, and I almost wonder, would this be an opportunity for Jim to try to see if he can find any way to tag on behind that 27 to Craig Forsyth, because then you're basically keeping the lead, roughly keeping the lead while using the draft of the 27 car, and again, saving fuel, maybe able to run longer on fuel than everybody else, because again, we saw what happened earlier there with that caution coming out. I think that's also, we got to go back to that yellow there. I think that's why we saw Nick DeGroot go ahead and hit the apron entering turn number 3. Is just, I think, a safer decision for him to make that. So, but right now, obviously Craig going to be fighting as hard as he can, wants desperately to get that lap back, and like I said, could even turn into 2 laps back if he can play his cards just perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. So we did actually have Justin Carey come down pit road. He is probably going to come out just behind, actually no, take it back, just ahead of our leaders right now. So he's entering turn number 3 as our leaders are now entering turn number 3 now. So he's got about a corner of a gap to the leaders, but he may fall back here. Obviously, Craig Forsyth going to fight to be on that lead lap, 1 lap down here. He's currently shown 2 down. And there's a couple other drivers in this pack here with, again, Joseph Morales and Christian Alacio trying to get back to at least 1 lap down. But if Craig Forsyth here can earn 1 lap back the hard way, and if this pack catches back up to Justin Carey, it could mean that Craig Forsyth could actually be our lucky dog if he were to be able to be ahead of the leader and get past Justin Carey if a caution were to come out. So definitely a big deal to be able to try and be up at the front of this field and fighting for that lap back, those laps back, I should say.
Yeah, you're right, because actually you're right. With what happened to Justin Carey there going on pit road, it's actually kind of completely changed the story for Craig, because now you're right. While he's the first car 2 down, he's not the first car lap down, because that does go to the 42 of Justin Carey, who is just the 1 lap down as they run about, like I said, about a straightaway ahead of the leader. So like I said, this would be an opportunity. I don't know how you could do it without kind of affecting the whole field, but in a perfect world, if I'm Jim Brooks, it might be worth trying to find a way to let Craig by and then just draft off of him. But the problem is, though, I mean, as soon as anybody sees something happening, like right now, Dan Marrero, Dan's going to try to take full advantage of that. And we got to mention Dan, too. He was in that incident. We talked about him. Went ahead, was able to get to pit road, use that fast repair. Now he is running in seconds. Another one of those 40 Raceware drivers there in that number 26 machine. So a great recovery for Dan. Jeff Heisong as well in the 18 car. He was in that incident. He's up into 3rd. I'll say the driver that we've kind of lost out of this pack, really, that was right there, was Luis Gonzalez Nunez. He's actually jumped up to the top here. He's fallen just inside the top 10, just outside the top 5, though, in 7th. So maybe a strategy choice. I'm not sure if maybe just the top line didn't work out for him or not, but yeah, right now, though, that 51, though, still leading the way, and just going to have a mirror full of Craig Forsyth probably until his next pit stop, unless something drastically changes.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting to note because, Luis is back in 7th right now, where Eric Peterson's back in 6th, just ahead of him. So those 2 guys were trying to battle on the outside try to battle on that outside lane at the beginning of this run here, and now find themselves a little bit further back in the pack. So interesting for sure.
Yeah, so I'm watching some drivers that are just kind of cruise control, and that's our leader at the beginning, Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner, Yari Brubacher. We saw them kind of fighting and being aggressive early, right up at the very front of the field. I think this is kind of the same story, different verse, where instead of Nick DeGroot leading the way, now you've got Jim Brooks leading the way, and then where Jim was saving fuel, now it's Nick and Yari and Matt that are doing the fuel saving, knowing, hey, we need to go further on this run to see, just in case that same one of those kind of lightning strikes twice type situations. I think that's the strategy here, because next time by we're going to be down to 60 to go in this race, so already over the halfway point in this one here. So and you see, look, Craig. Oh man, Craig is doing everything he can. If Jim, like I said, if Jim gives up that bottom lane for just enough time there, Craig will take it. So Jim can't rest easy, thinking like, okay, I've got a lap car as a buffer, because Craig knows what's going on. He's pretty quick on these things as well. So right now we've got a good little battle going on for 4th between Jeff Heisong and Brad Ringer. Brad running the top side. I'm sorry, Jim Herrick and Brad Ringer for that 4th position. They keep kind of cycling back and forth with one another there. Right now, Brad being the only real driver up front running that 2nd lane.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be interesting to see for sure. Yeah, kind of quieted down a little bit. I know we saw, we mentioned Matt Wagner back there also in 11th too. One of the other guys, some of the other guys in that first incident. I know that sometimes, could just be riding, but sometimes when you get into an incident like that, especially when you cause a big one like that, sometimes it can kind of humble you a little bit and take away a little bit of that edge. So hopefully for Matt, he's just kind of, being smart about it and trying to settle in and, not just be down on that incident earlier, but still a long way to go. And I think you mentioned, for sure, like Nick, Yari, and them back there in that pack. If something were to happen again at the front, I think those guys, especially if they sit out later, those guys would be the ones that could potentially leapfrog and get back to the lead after we've kind of had that flip kind of in the middle here, where now, Jim Brooks, Dan Barrera, and Jeff Heisong are leading, whereas before it was Nick, Yari, and Matt.
Yeah, exactly right. And saying with everybody pitting around lap 46 again, we talked about Nick DeGroot roughly got to about about 40 laps on fuel again. Obviously, don't know how maybe if he was trying to do any fuel savings in kind of in the turns versus straightaways, things of that nature. But if that 40 laps is accurate, that means we should see the leaders probably around lap 86. So I was saying that would be just inside the 40 to go window. So it would still be very tight to make it to the end. So like I said, I think for Jim here is he's got to balance that aggression versus fuel savings. But I say right now, like I said, there's not much he can do. I say if there's any way he could try to drop back and give a spot to Craig and draft off of him, like I said, I think that would be a way to do it. But at the same time too, it's a season-long thing, Boomer. I mean, You've got one of the best right now trapped 2 laps down. Do you really want to give him the opportunity to get one of those 2 back? Because you could kind of net him right now a 13th place position versus giving him a lifeline and see if he drives back up into the top 5, top 10. Just almost Craig looking.
Almost there.
Oh man, Jim's got to be careful because Craig will not. I say he's gonna want to take in. I mean, I think he's cutting Jim a little bit of slack, but he's got to be careful here.
And like you mentioned, also that it's going to be a dangerous game if if Jim does get or if Craig does get to the inside of Jim there, because I think then that it puts him in a position where he might be vulnerable to the rest of the field too. Going to see Craig trying to be aggressive here. Craig definitely consistently week in, week out, has the ability to be up front and lead races and win races. So he's definitely one of the veterans in this league that knows his way around ovals for sure. So he's definitely going to be willing to put it in there if he can, and he knows how important that single lap back would be. Justin Carey is still 6 seconds ahead of our leaders, and he's kind of staying there. So doesn't look like he's actually going to fall back. So we do have a draft in this pack, though. By himself, Justin Carey is able to run consistent lap times with the front of this field. So interesting for sure, but definitely not what Craig Forsyth wanted to see. He wanted to try and see if Justin could fall back to this lead pack so he could potentially pass him and try and get that lucky dog position. But as of right now, it's probably going to go to Justin Carey again if anything were to come out. We're about 10 laps away from that window opening to be able to go the rest of the way, I think, for the leaders. Maybe even a little bit sooner if you are able to stay in the back of the pack. So about lap 85, I think, 80 or 85, probably going to start seeing a few people peel off one by one and try to make something happen. Oh, man, the 27's all over the back of Jim Brooks.
Yeah, I'm even just tensing up watching because it is so close. And but that's the thing is, I feel confident about Craig. I mean, this is what he does. Like he's a very precise and accurate driver, but you still can't help but just get a little bit nervous when you've got someone like that right on your rear wing there. So. But you're right, though. I think the fuel window, that's going to be the question mark. It's going to be, like I said, probably, I still think 85 is probably the earliest you want to come into pit road because that's going to put you pretty much right back at 40 to go on fuel to the end. And
you don't have to worry about drafting at all at that point.
Exactly, too. Yeah. But the other part that could come into this as well is the drivers that are saving right now, like the Nick DeGroots, Yari Brewpackers, Matt Wagner's, of course, even further up, Jeff Heisong as well, Eric Peterson. They can maybe put a little bit less fuel in their cars. Will that be enough to maybe shorten their pit stops as well? But I think, unfortunately, though, with green flag pit stops looming, unfortunately, my brain just goes straight back to what we saw in that last green flag pit stop cycle, where we had a couple successful attempts, but then just that one mistake, unfortunately, was what cost about 6 drivers. So, again, you try not to get in your head, but, like, if I'm Jim Brooks right now, Man, I'm nervous. Like I don't want to be kind of the one pitting before the whole pack. Like I want to be a fuel saver personally, waiting to
Right.
pit after everybody else does.
Right, and I think, yeah, for sure. I mean, he's out in the lead. That's always a good thing, right? He's probably going to be, I would think, soon at a point where he could potentially be the most laps led leader. So definitely, I mean, if you're going to be out front, you might as well take it and enjoy being up there and take the consequences of not being able to save fuel. But it'll be interesting to see for sure. The only one we really only got through what 2 or 3 green flag pit stops really before. We had those incidents because I think for the most part Nick DeGroot peeled off, and then maybe Yari Brupacher peeled off, and I think that was
I
really
think it was Nick, Yari, and AJ. I think
it.
were like the 3.
Okay.
And the one that stood out to me though was that Nick came in at turn 3. And I think that might. And again, I can't hear what the drivers are discussing either on Discord and or in iRacing itself, and so there might be some discussions where it's like, hey, that pitting in 3 and 4 wasn't very good. Maybe we should just have everybody pit entering turn 3. I mean, like IndyCar does, like let's say at Iowa Speedway. IndyCar requires you to pit in turn 3 there at Iowa. You have to come out down off the backstretch basically and be off the racing surface because of situations like that. So even admins might be making adjustments on the fly and say, you know what, in the kind of the interest of safety for the rest of this race to not have something like that happen again, let's go ahead and have everybody pit out of 3. Or they might just say, you know what, we'll address this maybe after the race, kind of a thing. So again, there's stuff that I'm just speculating, Boomer, but I mean that could come into play as well here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know our admins here at Area 51 do a really great job. Sometimes there's situations like that where they kind of have to come up with stuff on the fly. Sometimes it's not really easy to make a rule change in the middle of a race, but it has been done in the past, I'm sure. And sometimes there's opportunities like that where you see, oh well, this isn't working and this needs to change, so we're going to change it immediately. Or at the worst case, maybe the next time we come back to Las Vegas, something to put in the notebook for the next time we run here and dictate that. So, but yeah, we'll see. Gonna get to see some pit stops here soon, I'm sure, because we're hitting lap number 84 now, working on that.
Yeah, 42 to go
Brooks,
here.
Yep, Jim Brooks continues to lead the field with Dan Morera, Jeff Heisong, Jim Herrick, and Eric Peterson rounding out your top 5 as they sit.
And the one I'm watching, Boomer, is Dan Morera. He's sitting comfortably in second position, third in line, but he's given about a full car length off of Craig Forsyth, and even you see similar to the 18 of Jeff Heisong. So I think Dan is definitely running the long game here. I think he's basically just saving as much fuel as he can in that car because he's putting zero pressure on Craig. As you can see again, Craig putting all the pressure on Jim here. But we are getting to this 40 to go mark, so we'll see if we have any takers again. I feel like the further you can go, the better.
There's one car coming in from the looks like Brad Ringer maybe.
Yep. And he's always sliding it through the infield, but we'll see if he can loop it around. Wow. There's nobody around him, so I think he might get away with it. He's going to have to just grab a gear and go, and yeah, I think we'll get away with that. But that just shows you, even on the apron, it's still not a done deal. That's how dangerous this thing is. But so now we're down to 39 to go here at the line, Boomer. So I feel this is about getting to the window. I'm seeing Craig jump up top here. I think this might be Jim hitting pit road. And yeah, here he comes, our leader coming in. And it looks like he's going to make it to pit road. But now this is where he is just sweating bullets right now, because he's got to hope that another about 10 to 15 cars make their pit stop cycles cleanly, and that it just kind of cycles around naturally.
Right, and obviously Jim really wasn't, his hands were tied because he was out in the front leading that pack. But if I was anybody here in this field, I'd be pushing it as far as I can, knowing that somebody else could definitely be making a mistake on their entry to pit road. So obviously, if we do have another incident, that's really going to put Jim Brooks in a little bit of a hole, as well as Brad Ringer. So they're going to be one lap down as they come back out onto the track. And definitely got another one
here. Here comes AJ hitting pit road.
Yep, AJ coming down. So see if he can get down and away. Definitely treacherous so far, but I think you're going to lose a little bit of time if you're entering from turn number 3. But look at how smooth that is. Definitely AJ putting on a clinic there for getting to pit road, as the 89 of Nick DeGroot did at the beginning of this race as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, it was. I mean, I was watching the 51 Jim Brooks when he pitted, and I was a little nervous because it looked like it was going to be touch and go if he was going to make it. So yeah, I definitely like the approach that Nick DeGroot took. I like the approach that AJ Musselman took there as well. So right now that's only two. Now we got a third that's going to be Yari Brupacher. He's going to hit pit road. So we've got three drivers in, but again, that still leaves us. You can see the pack here. That's so many left to hit pit road. The other important thing right now is look who's one lap down but in front of this field, and that is Craig Forsyth. So right now Craig is hoping A, he's got fuel to run for a while, and B, he can be in front. Oh, as I say here, Craig, oh no, there it is again. Craig is around. Caution is out. Unfortunately, Craig had the same issue as we saw earlier, and it looks like it's going to collect, I believe, it may have just been Craig, but it was across the front of the field. And that was the concern we had. Actually, we got one running up against the wall, and that's the 76 of Brad Ringer, who we just saw serve his pit stop. So let's go back. We'll take a look. But unfortunately for Craig Forsyth, that pit stop that was the worry we had, and unfortunately it kind of struck twice.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna cycle us back a little bit. Thankfully, it does look like okay. Yeah, wow. Matt Wagner checked up a little bit, got run into the back, I think, from Brad Ringer there. So I think that's where the contact came from. And yeah, just there the last second, nowhere to go. And unfortunate for sure. Thankfully, it's a little bit of a lighter wreck than we had the first time. But I mean, there's definitely guys that are involved in both wrecks now. So the 27 and the 6, I think, are going to be done for the night.
Yeah. So and that was the concern. That was what I just mentioned, Boomer. Though my worry about for Jim Brooks, for instance, there. Was just the fact that he could get trapped, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. He gets trapped a lap down, so he'll have to take the wave around, but unfortunately he's going to come out, I believe, at the minimum outside the top 5. We'll have to see where he officially cycles through, as it's going to actually be AJ Musselman who's going to win the race off of pit road, which, again, I think he was actually on pit road at the time of the yellow, and that's what was able to cycle him up in front of some of those other guys. So tough break though. That's gonna put see Yari. He's gonna be trapped behind the pace car. As you can see, all the 81 cars. So that car has definitely had a better life for Christian Malaysia. But yeah, so you're gonna see Yari and Jim. They're gonna have to take the wave around, as is Justin Carey. But the net winner out of the pit stop cycle, it's gonna be Jim Herrick or Jeff Heisong. Waiting to see who it officially is. But again, now it's kind of same story, third verse, if you will, here though, Boomer, because now it's again changing once again. Looks Jeff Heisong winning the race off pit road.
Right. So the thankful thing is obviously right in the front of the field right now you have Yari Brupacher, Jim Brooks, and Justin Carey, and I think at least one more. So those guys are going to at least get their lap back. We do also see who's it? Christian Alacio. He's actually going to pit. Oh, he's got a ton of damage. He's going to have to pit.
That car's unfortunately had a better time. But
Yari, Jim, and Justin here are ahead of our leader, Jeff Heisong. So they have made their final pit stops already, which is actually, no, I take it back. Justin Carey has not. So Yari Brupacher and Jim Brooks should be able to cycle back around to the back of the pack. So they'll probably be somewhere around 8th, 9th, I think. But they will be on the lead lap. So definitely cycles them towards the back of the pack, kind of like we had in that first caution. Like you mentioned, same story. It'd be technically the third verse, whatever, the third stint of the race. So. But we'll have to wait and see here and see what they can do. They'll definitely be kind of behind, but they won't be at least be a lap down once this pace car lets them wave around.
Yeah, so I'm saying the one that kind of I think honestly benefited the most out of this is going to really be, in my opinion, Nick DeGroot, because now he jumps all the way back up into third again. He was one of those wave around drivers before, so he's made a really big gain back after all of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at first and second, Jeff Heisong, Dan Morera. They started in 11th and in 13th places respectively. So right now we got plus 10, plus 11 for the two of them. And again, just they've played the strategy, and they played the strategy to perfection right here. Like I said, it looks great for Jim on the first go around, but then let's say either be a blessing or a curse there. Say he got the clean air and he didn't have the fuel mileage, and unfortunately we saw the same issue. And it looked just identical to what happened to Matt on that first pit stop. And again, it just shows how difficult this pit entry was, because these are two of the best IndyCar drivers we have at Area 51 having the exact same difficulty.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, thankful for Yari, Jim, or Yari and Jim that they are able to wave around here. I'm not sure what Justin Carey's plan is here, because he's about to wave around, but he Last pit on lap number 54. So he's gone 40 laps since he last pit. So I don't know if he plans to pit, but
Maybe just hoping for a quick yellow, because this did put him back on the lead lap, but this, I don't know, this may have bit him a little bit too, though, as I'm looking, and he would have been one down, and Joseph Morales and Brad Ringer are two down, so he would have been the only driver one down, so
yeah,
we'll
I
see.
think this is a gamble that may not pay off for him, unfortunately. But at least for Yari and Jim, no harm, no foul. Cycles him to the back, but should be good to go. But we are gonna look and down the backstretch here, picking up Jeff Heisong again. Our leader.
No, we got trouble in the back. They're trying too quick to catch up to the field, and we got a couple of cars involved here. AJ Musselman was involved there. You can see him down on the apron. I think Yari Brupacher as well. He actually had to take a tow there. So this is one of those ones I don't want to go back and look at, but unfortunately I'm going to have to, because those drivers that were lapped down were trying to hustle back up and catch the back of the field. And we saw Jim get through there, and I think it may have been Justin Carey that came in right afterwards. As the yellow is back out, we'll slow things down here as they get there. You see, honestly just too much speed there. Gets into the back of Yari, gets into the back of AJ. And actually the 53 as well, if I'm seeing that car number right as well there. So unfortunately it looks like 3 cars involved. Unfortunately that's not going to be a popular one with the drivers or the admins, but
no, I think
I mean, honestly, it's some of it's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but yeah, that's a huge hit though for AJ and Yari, feeling like, okay, hey, we got our spot back, we're on the lead lap, we're going to make a run at this, and to have something like that happen is definitely going to sting a little bit. But and actually I think we've missed
Jim Brooks even came in a little bit hot, but he actually managed to be on the outside lane. As looks like we're actually back to green flag.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I thought they were actually backing it down, but I'll say if things calm down, I can go back to the restart. But I think right now we'll just stay live. So I thought the green got delayed. That's why we went back to go take a look. But we are back underway, and it is still Jeff Heisong leading, Dan Morera, Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, and Luis Gonzalez-Nunez. And as I said, here comes Nick DeGroot jumping to the top side. And so right now we've got the top 5 here all bundled in, and unfortunately a little bit of a gap back to Jim Herrick there in 6th position. He's starting to close the gap there. However, Jim Brooks there, something happened on that restart. He's actually fallen off the back. I think, again, trying to everybody get settled. He's about 2 seconds back, so he's probably out of the running right now. He's going to sit in 7th. That's about the best he can do here. And we talked about maybe an attrition race, possibly, Boomer, and that's actually what we've got right now. So we've got that 6-car breakaway here that will be for the battle for the win here in these closing 28 laps.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunate, obviously, that second crash, with Craig going around. I think that took Craig and Matt Wagner and Christian Alacio out of this race. CJ Holloman out, Craig obviously out. So unfortunate for those guys for sure. AJ Musselman we mentioned, and now after that yellow flag incident, Justin Carey, Dylan McIntosh are also out, looks like. So it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't expect a 1.5 mile track to be, an attrition race, but sometimes when it, when you're going so fast and it seems like it's more of a, more of a super speedway style, like a race, it's gonna, cause some issues. But thankfully, Jeff Heisong here at the front of the field is able to capitalize, and he's kind of really in the catbird seat here. All these guys have pitted for the last time, and Jeff really just needs to paint that inside line as long as he can, and see what he can do to bring this one home.
Yeah, exactly right. He's just got to live on that white line. Just has to be careful not to touch the apron. That's the biggest thing. Is it's really tempting just to try to squeeze as low as you can, and then you catch the apron and say bad things happen. So he's just got to be smart about it. He's gonna have to make sure he doesn't give up the bottom though. There kind of broke the draft just that tiny bit here. As Luis Gonzalez-Nunez, he's going to try to capitalize that big finish to last season to bring it after it this season as well. And he talked about it too. He said he was looking forward to making a big charge this season in that car. So we'll see if Luis is able to kind of get going again as well. But right now, like I said, I mean, we've got 6 drivers here under a blanket for the win right now, and we're starting to see these guys start to make some big moves. And I'm looking at lap times as well. Pretty much everybody's running relatively similar paces right now. Say Jim, like I said, he's just a little bit off the draft, 2.8 seconds off the lead, about 2.3 off of Jim Herrick. But lap time wise, he's running just within hundredths of what the leaders are running. So it's just he'll need a little bobble or a mistake from those guys to catch back up to him. But right now, as dicey as these guys are being, it may not be a bad thing to be that 2.5 seconds back from this pack.
No, I don't think so for sure. Obviously, Jeff Heisong and Dan Marrera kind of comfortably there in 1 and 2, but you got Eric Peterson, Luis Gonzalez Nunez side by side, and then Jim Herrick and Nick DeGroot back there. DeGroot now falling back to 6th place. He's trying to make that outside lane work, and not quite working there for Nick. Unfortunately, he's lost a lot of spots trying to make it work, trying to do something different, but unfortunately starting to fall back a little bit. It does look like we do have one lap car back here in this pack, and I believe that is Joseph Morales in the target machine. So that red and white car at the tail end, this is actually a lap down car for Joseph Morales. He's 2 laps down, I believe, right now. Yep, yeah. So he would be the lucky dog if any more craziness were to happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, and that's why I kind of like where he is too, where he's still in this main pack, but at the same time he's at the back of the pack. So again, he's got room to react if he needs to. The only concern, of course, is things happen here very, very quickly. I mean, we showed the pace of these cars; they're up 220 plus. So, but right now, like I said, I mean, I think it doesn't seem like there's maybe quite enough momentum to jump from that inside line to the outside and get around. I think that's where Dan Marrera is going to have to start trying to maybe do a little bit of planning and try and just see if he can do a little bit of test runs here and there. The problem is, though, of course, in doing so, he could open himself up from Eric Peterson to try to snag that runner-up position. So it's a tough spot to be in when you've got a pack like this, because you want to see, okay, let me see if I do this at this time, this might be enough to get. I gotta get my wing in front of him at the line. But again, right. you do so. And then if you can't get back down in line behind him in time, then Eric Peterson's going to fill that gap. And I'd say he needs to see here's Luis Gonzalez. He's going to do the same thing. Exactly,
yeah. So you see right there. So he's he was able to get around the 36 of Eric Peterson there just enough to get to beat him to the line. So Luis now being scored in the 3rd position. So we'll see if he can make this outside lane stick for a while or not. But regardless, if you just need to beat them to that line. If you can get to that outside and get there, makes a huge difference. As now we see Luis is actually starting to battle with the 26 on the outside of Dan Marrera. No, I take it back. He's back with the 36 of Eric Peterson now too. So definitely got to see what you can do to make it work. I mean, the 18 and the 26 and probably the 36 here in the top 3 are probably just going to paint that white line all the way around the bottom for the rest of this race. So you really have to do something different. You can't just sit there and sit behind them, and you don't want to just let it happen and let them have it. So I applaud the effort for Luis to try and make something happen, even if it's even if he can just get side by side with Eric Peterson on the last lap to get that 3rd place spot. It's definitely going to be a hard-earned effort for sure, unless somebody can get underneath. Oh, contact! There you go. 36 around. Oh, hard hit.
Yeah, Eric Peterson around. It's going to bring the yellow out. We'll go back and see what exactly happened. Not sure if he's going to be able to make that back to Pyrrha. Looks like that thing might be able to limp it back there. So I'll say while he does so, let's go back and take a look. Yeah, it looked like there was contact with Eric Peterson. Didn't quite catch where it came from, but we'll take a closer look at it here. I'm going to say it was right in the back here. So you see Eric Peterson there in the 36, that yellow machine. I see Jim Herrick just looking maybe low here. We'll take a better look at it entering 3. And yeah, you see there's just a slight opening. Jim Herrick went for it. And maybe a little bit of, I'm not sure if net code or not, but unfortunately the 40 and the 36, they get together. And then unfortunately there's nothing the 36 can do. But look at Nick DeGroot here. Man, that's not a lot of wiggle room he had. And then he has to make sure he doesn't get into the wall as well. So a very close call for Nick as well. And then you see here goes Jim Brooks. He's going to sneak on by there as well. So that's going to put us back under yellow here, Boomer, and we're going to have pretty much a shootout here towards the end of this one, as most of the field's staying out. Nick DeGroot's opting to go ahead. It looks like maybe did make some contact, or maybe just going for some tires here, try to make some sort of an advantage in that 89 car. Then Eric Peterson is also on pit road, so hopefully a fast repair still available for him, and that should get him back onto in contention for this one. And then, of course, also mentioned the 60 of Joseph Morales. Gets that 2 down to now 1 down in that 60 target car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation. I mean, you can't really necessarily blame Jim Herrick for going for it. I mean, you see a spot, you have it. Obviously, the 36, was kind of planning on coming down to the bottom and making his way back to that inside line. But I think, unfortunately for Eric, he left the door open for too long and tried to close it. And it is a little bit of a racing deal. Unfortunately, you can put the blame on Jim for putting it in there and the 36 for leaving it open. But tough break for sure. Thankfully, he does have a fast repair, it looks like here, and he'll be back up and away. It looks like he's going to be scored in the 7th position, so really, no harm, no foul, but I believe he is going to be one lap down now. So Eric Peterson and Joseph Morales will have a battle for that one lap down situation there in 7th and 8th, but we got the top 6 of Jeff Heisong, Dan Herrera, Jim Herrick, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Jim Brooks, and Nick DeGroot going to be battling it out for that win. And it's going to definitely, I think, make, it's going to be a good thing for Jim, just because Jim Brooks, because he was able to catch up there with that caution and maybe make something happen, try to improve on what was going to be probably a 7th place finish if it did run to the end.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, now he's at least got another lifeline basically in this one. And Duty mentioned, yeah, Eric Peterson actually did stay on the lead lap, so he was able to limp it around and stay on the lead lap. So he's actually still in contention as well. So we do have 7 on the lead lap. We mentioned Joseph Morales just the 1 down in 8th. And then, like talked about, we've got 10 out of the 19 left in this race right now, with the 04 being 4 laps down of Dylan McIntosh, CJ Holloman 9 laps down. Again, for CJ, I think he had some technical or hardware issues because he had to make a bunch of unscheduled pit stops early on. So definitely doesn't show for what I think we'll probably be seeing out of that 58 later on in the season. So hopefully kind of get those little gremlins taken care of here. But what I think we're going to see here, though, Boomer, is we're going to restart this thing, not this time but next time, I believe, with 11 to go. And again, no green white checkers here. So when you get to I'd say about 4 to go, somewhere in that 3 to 4 to go range, at that point, this race will wind up finishing under yellow if a caution comes out. So there's no kind of biding your time, waiting for that big last lap move to happen. But I think right now for Jeff Heisong, I think his biggest risk here is going to be on this restart, because that's when that second car is able to get a big head of steam on. It's usually down the backstretch, so I think this will be Dan Murray's best opportunity right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've mentioned you pretty much have to sit there and, if you are able to run the bottom of the track without giving up enough space for that second place car to get a run and get onto your inside, you pretty much are going to be unbeatable. Obviously, it makes doesn't make for an exciting finish for the leader, but Jeff really is in a position here to kind of control this race through the end of it. Dan Marrera obviously can try to do what he can. I guess if I were Dan, I would probably just try and paint that white line with him and see what I can do to get him to slip up and maybe get underneath him as the tires wear out just a little bit. But for everyone, third on back, Jim Herrick, Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Jim Brooks, Nick DeGroot, and Eric Peterson on the lead lap. I guarantee these guys are going to be trying to do something on the outside just to make a pass and make something happen. But we'll have to see. Jeff is definitely kind of in the catbird seat, and it's probably his race to lose at this point.
Yes, and I think really, like you said, it's the best opportunity, I think, for Dan, of course, A, being the restart, and then B, it's the risk versus reward. The problem is for Dan, he's used his fast repair in that first incident, so he doesn't have anything left in the box for that side of things. But this would be his opportunity to maybe you're going to have to probably try to pinch that inside car down, just get him uncomfortable, see if you can maybe make him mess up here. So not saying that's what Dan's going to do, but that's really your best opportunity here, as that 18 car's got control, waiting for the green flag, and there he goes. He's going to go a little early. Again, that's at his discretion as we get back to green here with 11 to go.
Definitely getting going a little bit early. We'll see. Dan Marrera is going to have a little bit of a draft as he catches back up to him here, going into turn number 3. So if Dan can make a move now, this is his chance. Jeff's going to jump to the bottom. Dan's going to be alongside him on the outside, so we'll see. I don't know if Dan's going to have enough here to make it stick on the outside, but at least he can try and do something here. Hopefully he doesn't lose that spot in second place to Jim Herrick, who's now going to close the door and going to be on the inside behind Jeff Heisong, as Luis Gonzalez Nunez almost tries to peek to that third lane. Jim Brooks now joining the conversation here in 5th place, and Nick DeGroot back there in 6th. But man, look at that shot down the backstretch. They're 3 wide going into turn number 3. Jeff Heisong still with that top spot, though.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, Nick, you're trying to do something with the tires, but I think, like I said, I think just the pace of this car and this track is just, there's not a lot that's going to be gained, unfortunately. You see, actually, he's going to drop back to Eric Peterson there for the 6th and 7th position. But yeah, it looks like right now Jeff Heisong's been able to withstand that first attack. We saw that the 26, he tried to get to the outside of him, and he got there, but just didn't have enough momentum to complete the pass. So like I said, that's going to give an opportunity now to Jim Herrick now, because he should have an opportunity here. I think he can actually get the draft and clear that 26 car. And you can see, I think Jim's actually trying to drag back a little bit.
Jim's going to try and stay on that bottom lane there and follow them through. That outside lane is just not working out like it probably could, but.
And I feel like Jim Herrick, I think he's laying back a little bit, Boomer, waiting, trying to stay a little further back to make a big draft run here. And so maybe then try to make that late charge. So I think we're seeing a little bit of strategy here.
3 wide entering to 1. Yep.
Yeah, Nick DeGroot working the 3rd lane.
On the outside. He's working like the 4th lane there, man. He's way outside there.
Yeah, rim riding it if we've ever seen it. But I say that it does keep momentum. But the problem is, again, these cars are just so fast that the extra distance.
Touched the wall into turn 3 there. Some sparks off the wall.
Yeah, so say right now we're getting down to it. I applaud the effort
because there's really not much more that Nick can really do here back here, so he's just going to have to try and make something happen. Obviously, you know, like you said, Dan did not quite get there on that initial restart, so Jim Herrick able to get that inside run. Hopefully for Dan, he can at least beat him back to the line to 2nd place. Wow, it seems like, man, it looks like Nick DeGroot gets a good run, but just down the straightaways doesn't make a lot of progress, and he's going to sit back in 6th again, unfortunately. So, 7th back again. But Jeff Heisong continuing to control this race here. Like we mentioned, it's probably going to be his race to lose for the rest of the way here, as Jim Brooks is actually going to get to the inside of Jim Herrick. So Jim Brooks might actually be promoted to 2nd place here if this inside line continues to prevail. So what a great move for Jim to get up to that 2nd place position. Now, they contact.
More
Jim
contact
and Jim
as well. Yeah, Jim Brooks, Jim Herrick
contact after the fact with Louise and Nick DeGroot.
It's going to bring us back to yellow, and that was 4 to go, so this might be the end there. But yeah, so we'll wait and see. We'll go back and take a look, but you're right, there are a lot of cars involved there. Eric Peterson also, unfortunately, Jim Herrick got a big piece. It looks like he had to take a tow. And then you're right, yeah, Luis Gonzalez involved in that one as well. Then, yeah, there's Nick DeGroot, his front wing missing there as well.
The Nick DeGroot and Luis Gonzalez Nunez contact actually happened well after the fact, which is unfortunate. But yeah, you'll see off of 4 here, Jim Herrick and Jim Brooks just kind of going for
met
the
in the middle.
Yeah. I can't really blame him too much on that. Then obviously Jim coming down in that 36, really not much to do, just kind of bouncing off the wall. And then you'll see here, I don't know if the 26 tries to check up and the 12 tries to check up, but the 12 just gets loose as trying to watch out for the checkup, and that's why he makes contact with the 89. That makes more sense now. But yeah, so Dan Herrera might have checked up, and Luis Gonzalez Nunez got a little bit squirrely as he was trying to avoid that. But Nick able to continue running. So we are going to be finishing this one under caution, unfortunately. Looks like Luis Gonzalez Nunez took the tow back to the pits. So did Jim Herrick, and so did Eric Peterson did not. So
yeah, I think Jim had to take it to. Looks like Luis actually made it in and out of pit road here without losing the lap. And then good. Eric Peterson, he's still limping around. Jim Brooks, he's going to roll onto pit roads. I think that car's got some significant damage just to even try to make it around the track under green, or under yellow, I should say. But however, Joseph Morales is unfortunately it's going to be for naught because we're 2 to go in this race here, and we haven't got the 1 to go. So yeah, this one's going to finish under yellow. So out of all that chaos there, it's going to wind up, we talked about it being Jeff Heisong's race to lose, and it looks like it's going to wind up him getting the win here tonight. Dan Moreira is going to get back up into 2nd, and Nick DeGroot is going to get through that carnage there, all by what's missing the right front end piece of his wing there, but looks like he's going to bring home that final podium spot. And then even with that contact, Eric Peterson going to bring it home 4th, and it looks like Luis going to make it back in that 5th spot.
Yeah, Jim Brooks will limp home in the 6th position, with Joseph Morales actually making it back onto the lead lap for the end of the race. How about that? 2 back-to-back yellows, and Joseph is actually going to finish on the lead lap in 7th. So a bit of a rebound for him there, as he was able to actually pass Jim Herrick, who's still stuck in the pits. So Jim Herrick is going to definitely be out for, not going to be able to finish the rest of the laps. I don't think. Yeah, I think that'll pretty
Oh,
much
actually,
do
he
it
just
for the
rolled out of there.
running
Yeah.
order. Oh, he did. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
My
he's at least
apologies.
gonna finish, but
That's
he will be
yeah.
looks
It's
like
not
two
really gonna.
down, but yeah, he'll
Yeah, it's
finish
not really
eighth
gonna change
unfortunately.
anything. So
However,
yeah.
though,
So
here we go, one to go. But again, this will finish under yellow, no green white checkers here on the Indy side.
yeah, even though our name is Green Red Checker TV, obviously we love that the IndyCar series, the Dark Horse Area 51 series here on Tuesday nights does follow the traditional IndyCar style. So there's no green white checkers, and it's a season-long points battle. There's no gimmicks, no nothing. Just accumulate points throughout the season, and that's your champion. So definitely a big night to begin the season for Jeff Heisung, getting a great win to start the season. Dan Herrera with a very strong run early on too. Obviously, our championship, um, our runner, or sorry, our Dick DeGroot is going to defend his championship by starting off with a third place finish here at Las Vegas. I apologize. Words are hard sometimes, Gael.
Yeah, I've been there, done that, man. And yeah, you're right. And the other thing too is like talk about attrition. Prior to that last yellow there, I don't know if there were any drivers incident free at this point. I have a feeling we're probably nobody was able to stay incident free throughout the race, so probably no incident or no bonus points, I should say, for a zero incident race. I believe at some point everybody's got caught up in something. I think Jim Brooks was probably the last one that had a chance at it. But at the end though, it's gonna be that number 18 of Jeff Heisung. He's gonna kind of just have a nice little cruise to the finish line here, get the win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to open up our season. And there it is. Jeff Heisung gets the win over Dan Marrera and Nick DeGroot. And yeah, it's definitely going to be some relieved, happy drivers, and there's probably be a couple that are going to be wondering what could have been, unfortunately, for some. But say
Yeah,
definitely
for
nothing to
sure.
take away from Jeff Heisung here with that big win tonight.
No, he earned it for sure, and definitely had that opportunity to cycle to the lead at the end of that last pit cycle, and made it work. Obviously, Dan Marrera kind of fell off after trying to make that move on the outside work in that first run at the after the restart, and thankfully kind of getting back up to second place. So you mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Jeff Heisong up 10 spots and Dan Marrera up 11, finishing there. So kind of the 1-2 running order as of the final restart. Obviously, a little bit of chaos in between for Dan Marrera, but definitely a hard fought battle through that attrition there, and they will be pretty much your hardest chargers for tonight. So. Going to be interesting for sure. We'll get a chance here now to pull up a couple of these drivers here as we watch Jeff Heisong celebrate that victory, first race of the season, and yeah, get a chance to talk to some of these drivers here on our podium places in a second.
Yeah, waiting for a few guys to get settled in there, say, because we might run out of order. We'll see. I'm kind of keeping an eye out for Nick DeGroot. Haven't seen him roll in yet. So I think actually we'll jump a little bit off sequence here. We'll grab Dan Marrera to kick things off here,
All
Boomer.
right.
So we're going to grab our runner-up finisher tonight in that number 26 of Dan Marrera. So we'll pull him on button because we're not under yellow. I want to
We
pull up
got him
that
here.
good-looking car picture, that 40 racer on the side, as Dan Marrera brings it home in second position, highest climber tonight as well, plus 11. And Dan, I feel like this is probably a pretty stressful one for you guys tonight because there was a lot going on this evening, and you're able to get in a great position there, and then just say things got a little hectic. You dropped a few spots back, but honestly, kind of looked like it may have been a blessing in disguise because you're able to sneak through that last stretch there. But I mean, take us through the race and kind of the emotions, because obviously getting caught up in that first pit stop incident, but then having the strategy there at the end, kind of saving the fuel and able to kind of when the same thing happened twice, able to kind of benefit from that.
Well, this is one of those second places that taste like a win. I'm not supposed to be racing in front with this bunch. I'm like a middle of the pack kind of a guy. Things play along well. I have to thank my team for the raceware.com, Jim Herrick, Craig Forsyth. Without them, this wouldn't happen ever. They coach me every step of the way regarding strategy, where to put the car, when to risk it, when to not. Um, I was fortunate, like you said, when that first crash happened, that the damage was just enough that I could drive it um, back to the pits without losing a lap. So I was fortunate, and then I was saving a lot of fuel. Like I was talking to my teammates, like I have 6, they have 3, and I had like 13 laps of fuel. I was lifting a lot, like big time on the back stretch, front stretch. I don't know if the other guys in front were also doing that, or it was just that thing where the car in front, since you didn't have the draft, you're that much slower, and the cars behind just want to go that much faster, and no one's checking up. But yeah, it was great, and was really lucky on a couple of crashes that I could avoid damage, especially this last one. I took a chance going high. I know Jim was behind me, so I figured, well, if he stays low and I stay high, maybe we can do a 2 or 3 kind of a thing for the team. Um, but things happens, and sorry to see Jim, uh, uh, get, be taken out on that last crash.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunate contact for a couple moments there this evening, but yeah. So when you restarted on that last restart there, you were second in line behind Jeff Hysong. Obviously, Jeff got a pretty good run, and you tried to make it to the outside of him on into turn number 3. Unfortunately, you weren't necessarily able to make it stick, and I think Jim Herrick got underneath you. But what were you thinking there as that move didn't work for the pass for the lead? Were you worried about falling back any further, knowing that outside lane wasn't working super well, unless you had a run like that?
In all honesty, for a moment there, I thought I had him, but he kind of moved a little bit high. He kind of squeezed me out on the outside, and I was not going to take the whole field out. So I figured, well, if you want to place it like that, I'm going to sit here, because after a couple of laps, the chance to pass on the outside is pretty much gone unless something weird happens. But I was okay with being third if Jim was going to take the bottom and take that second place. But then the car behind Jim, I don't know who it was, started passing me. So I started to think, oh no, I'm going to be fourth or fifth. But I was fast. I was able to, if I was able to keep it low and not have to defend high, because I don't know who was behind me. I think it was Nick who wanted to go 3 wide. I was able to hold my spot there, either second or third.
Yeah, no, it was a really good run. Like I said, it was definitely pretty wild there at the end. It's like you said, kind of getting put in the middle 3 wide at times, and just having to try to do anything and everything to either gain positions back or hold positions. Because yeah, everybody was going after it tooth and nail there. But yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't sell yourself short on being a mid-pack driver there. Because I mean, we've seen definitely a lot of pace out of you. Just the luck hasn't been your way from last season, so maybe good things to come here. Obviously, to kick off season 3 with that runner-up position tonight. So. Just a great job, Dan. Like I said, great adjustment on your strategy to make sure you could kind of go a little further and save that fuel like you talked about. So definitely want to give you the floor, though, for any thanks and shouts for that runner-up tonight.
Absolutely. I want to thank, and if you guys are sim racers, go to 4dracewear.com. 4dracewear.com. Thank you, Jim Herrick, for letting me hang with you guys and making me a better driver, to you and Craig Forsyth. And thanks to all the fans watching at home. Great race. Hope to see you on the next one, and hope this is the first podium out of many.
Yeah, definitely hope to see you a bunch more here, Dan. Like I say, I just keep leaning on those guys because you're right. You say you've got a good little group over there with Jim and then with Craig. I say it's definitely a good team to be partnered with, and like you said, a great sponsor as well. Definitely appreciate them supporting you guys, and of course also supporting the league. It definitely goes a long way. So even doing some glove donations as well, giveaways. So pretty cool what Jim's been doing. So great job tonight. Enjoy this one, but look forward to see what you got for these guys next week, sir.
I'm going to go watch the broadcast.
All right, go enjoy it, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
It's
All
here
right.
to pull up our third place driver now. This going back to Nick DeGroot after interviewing Dan Morera. So we'll pull him up here now.
Yeah, we're gonna grab our third place finish, like Boomer was mentioning. So it was definitely a challenging one for Nick as well here, Boomer, because I mean, obviously everything looked great. Pit stop happens from the lead, and then the just unfortunately the caution comes out, traps you a lap down, have to take the wave around. And it was pretty obvious that you kind of changed your strategy after that one. After what happened, you're like, yeah, let's try something different here. And then, I mean, you're just kind of in a tough spot there at the end, because it's where do you go when kind of the preferred lines, I guess you could say, are kind of taken. And then that the second to last yellow, you come in, grab some tires, and I'm guessing for you, Nick, just try something, maybe see if you can get any sort of advantage on those guys. I mean, take us through the ups and downs. Obviously the fuel mileage kind of bit you initially, but then able to bounce back and somehow find your way to grab a podium, even without a right front wing there at the end.
Yeah. Sorry, first of all, to Luis, because that should have been his podium. I was paying too much attention to the wreck I had already passed and just ran right in the back, which was just silly on my part, but I'm glad he got it going, got himself a top 5 in the end, even still. But yeah, my goal from the start was just hold the lead at all costs, because as you saw, it was almost impossible to pass the leader. And but double-edged sword is that you got to pit early because you're burning more fuel. And I did that knowing that this is a tricky pit road. There might be a caution that's going to bite me. I kind of half expected it. And of course it happened. It was one heck of a wreck too. A lot of cars in that one. And yeah, from that point, it was just like, all right, let's save some fuel. Let's chill out. Even if I push up there, the highest I'm going to get to is second. So let's just chill. And then when the next set of pit stops come up, that was going to be my chance to kind of charge forward, maybe catch a caution while I'm in the provisional lead, or maybe let it just cycle through and jump out in the lead that way. That was really my plan. And the caution came, but we just weren't high enough. I think we were like third when the caution came out. So yeah, Jeff was the guy in the catbird seat, and well played by him. He did an awesome job holding it there, especially on the restart. So you're the leader. I said it's impossible to pass the leader, but they are actually very vulnerable on restart. So he did a really good job there. Those couple yellows we had. And yeah, towards the end, I was just trying everything I could. I was backing up, trying to get runs, and I was able to get some ground, but I was not getting near enough big of a run that I needed. I need a much longer 6th gear to be able to do what I was hoping to do. But yeah, we kind of had the seize part there at the end for the wreck. Should have been 4th again. Sorry, Luis, but yeah, I'll take a podium. It was a crazy race, like a NASCAR style Talladega. It was just wild.
Yeah, for sure. I know when he made contact with Louise, it looked like he was actually kind of sliding sideways. Might have had a checkup, I think, maybe from Dan Morera there. So, it was obviously kind of hard to control the car at that point. So, maybe not too much to blame for that contact there, but unfortunate, obviously, at the end. But yeah, I mean, definitely an up and down night, as you mentioned. You were probably one of the only people, I think, that was, maybe one of 4 or 5 people that were actually successful down on pit road. You kind of mentioned it already, but you had a feeling that this was going to be a tricky pit road to get onto. And obviously we saw you entering from turn number 3 on that first pit cycle. But did you expect to see that many issues getting onto pit road and that much chaos tonight?
Yeah, well, we've seen it before, and we've also had races here where there's no issues. So it was kind of like 50-50, like expect that it could happen, but it may not. And what really is tricky here is that if you pit the way I did, yeah, it's safer, but you lose some time. And if you stay up on the track and slow down and then enter the pits, which is the preferred way, you're in the middle of the track in the preferred line, and the pack's going to have to move around you. And if you do it the way a few of these guys are trying tonight, which is pit from the track but also stay out of the way, they're braking, they're going over the white line, that change in banking, and the car just does not like that unless you are really ready for it and have a lot of weight jacker in it. And even then it can send the car, and that's what we saw happening, which is just part of the racing here. Las Vegas likes to make it difficult for us.
Yeah, and that's exactly we saw you initially, like I said, make that big cut into 3. I mean, it seemed like it worked out all right. You were able to get lined up with Yari and kind of draft together again. We also saw later on AJ Musselman, apologies, do the exact same thing, enter the pits through turn 3, and then yeah, there's a few drivers that were able to make the turn 3 and 4 work. But I mean, when you got some of the best in the business with this league, kind of having that issue, it kind of just shows how difficult it was to make that pit road entry. Drivers were even talking about it when I was checking in during practice as well, about how difficult that pit road entry and exit was. So yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, it was definitely not an easy one tonight, but you did get the pole, got a bunch of laps led, and still find a way to bring it home in a great spot tonight as well. So I mean, let's say it's obviously looking good for initial start. We're kind of make the best of possibly a slightly bad situation tonight with the way things went. So obviously still 11 more races to go, but at the same time, this is probably one that you're kind of happy to come out with that top 5 finish.
Yeah, absolutely. After last season, I'm just looking for consistency. I really wanted to keep my nose clean, and which we almost did. 9 out of 10 on that one. But yeah, each race I'm just gonna be looking for top fives, top threes, and of course grab those wins when we can because they're hard to come by.
It was a great job tonight. But before we let you go, Nick, definitely want to give you the opportunity for any thanks and shouts for that podium this evening.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Factor Back Motorsports, from CohenMoore.com, Motorsport.com, DeGroot Automotive, U-Haul and Detailing, Canvas Shoes, Cowboy Shed, everybody else who supports us. Looking forward to Dover. That should be another really interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be an interesting battle at Dover next weekend, but look forward to watching you this season as you try to, I believe, three-peat on the championship. So good run tonight. Way to capitalize and make it back up to the podium placings, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, Boomer, that's left us one driver to chat with, and we're going to pull him on up next, and that is going to be our race winner, Jeff Heisong. Almost got the full sweep as well, getting 10 positions gained. Unfortunately, Dan Murray decided to one-up him, get that 11th spot gained as well. But, man, Jeff, I mean, obviously there's a lot to go through tonight for the strategy side of things, especially for you going from 11 to get to the front there in the end. I mean, obviously strategy was the big name of the game tonight. You got caught up in that first incident as well, but able to kind of recover and get back after it there, and then just able to work the numbers, work the fuel mileage, and get that track position. You need to nail the pit stop, of course, to kind of have control for that final stint to the end. But I mean, how much did you just have to kind of commit from almost lap one of the start or the restart to kind of to dedicate yourself to that strategy there?
At the start of the race, I kind of just wanted to be one of the last ones to pit, just in case somebody looped it going to pit road or something like that happened. And it did happen, and I got caught up in it, so it didn't really work out that great. But yeah, when it came to pit stops, I wanted to be towards the last of the group pitting versus the first. So yeah, I got that damage in the first one, and then got track position, and I told myself I got to stay up here.
Yeah, that was definitely a fair amount of chaos tonight for sure. But after that last restart, you were able to hold them off on the bottom there. I guess, did you have any worries after you kind of cycled out to the lead at the end for that last stint? Did you have any worries about anyone getting around you either on the inside or the outside?
It would have had to been a mighty run on the outside, but I wasn't too worried about it. Dan was fast and Nick was fast. If they got the right momentum, maybe, but I just think the bottom was too strong tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely showed the bottom it looked like it was going to be tough to make anything happen down there. I mean, we saw a few attempts of it. Obviously, that last restart, we saw Dan make a pretty big move on you, or he got close, but it looked like the momentum was still going to shift your way there. But, I mean, and was that something that you were able to kind of plan on and anticipate over the course of either practice or some point during the race? Because, like I said, you really didn't have that clean air, that track position till the very end after the final pit stop. So, I mean, how do you go about during practice to kind of figure out, okay, can I make the outside work? Is it going to be kind of just protect the inside? Like where does the strategy come into play on kind of how do you test that and make sure you kind of know where you need to position your car throughout the race?
So the first stint, I was kind of paying attention to what was going on up front and the craziness, and I just noticed that the outside line could never get past about second or third place on the outside. So I was kind of just telling myself, all right, track position's key, and once you get a chance, you got to get up front. So yeah, I just nailed that pit stop and got lucky, I guess.
Nah, I wouldn't go too much on the luck side of things. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of luck into it, but I mean, like you said, you had to put yourself in a good spot to take advantage of the pit stop. Like you said, the strategies and all that, and then and as much as we like to think, yeah, you just kind of point and shoot at the end. I mean, you got to make sure you don't give up that inside line. I mean, we saw a few times Craig was trying to get from 2 down to 1 down, and he was making life real difficult for that 51 of Jim Brooks, because a few times it opened up just for a split second. We thought Craig might try to steal it. So, I mean, I'm sure you're watching your mirror as much as you're looking forward there at the end. But, I mean, still overall, I mean, obviously a great way to kick off the season, get in the win here tonight. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously the way you want to start things off. So, I mean, definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that win tonight?
Shout out to everybody that finished, Dan, Nick, all the guys. That was great racing. I mean, we were racing close and hard all 125 laps. I mean, what did we have? 2 yellows maybe. So I mean, that was fun. And then yeah, shout out to the family. Love you guys. Thanks for letting me do this. And then just everybody in the league. We had a good solid race this week, and then I just look forward to the season.
All right, well, go celebrate with them. Go enjoy this one, Jeff, because I'll say next week's going to be a whole nother animal. Like I say, that's something Nick was mentioning too. I say the high banks of Dover Speedway. That's going to be an interesting one, I think, for sure. Definitely could be one of those wild card races. So enjoy this one though, and then we'll look forward to seeing you next week. But yeah, congrats again on that win.
Thanks, guys. You have a good night.
All right, Boomer, that is going to do it for our interviews tonight. However, we got to pull up our final results for tonight's event. As I say, we've obviously got to talk to our top three, kind of get a rough overview of where everybody finished, but let's get our formal results here. As you see, again, under yellow finishing tonight, but Jeff Heisson getting the win over Dan Morera and Nick DeGroot. And then Eric Peterson, Luis Gonzalez, top fives. Jim Brooks was able to bounce back to the six, but again, I'm sure that's going to be a kind of what could have been for him. Joseph Morales gets from 2 down back to the top 10 into 7th. On the lead lap, Jim Herrick, unfortunately, the unfortunate victim of that last wreck there, not able to get back to pit road and stay on the lead lap, falls 2 down to 8th. And then Dylan McIntosh, CJ Holloman sticking it out to the end there, finishing in 9th and 10th. And unfortunately, the drivers with early retirements this evening, Brad Ringer, Justin Carey, AJ Musselman, Yari Brupacher, Matt Wagner, Christian Alacio, Craig Forsyth, and then Joseph Grijalva Jr. with the internet connectivities dropped him out early. And then Gary Corley in early retirement as well. And I think probably hardware or something issues because he kind of just pulled off and exited early there. So good car count though tonight, Boomer. 19 cars took part of it. Obviously attrition, a big one though this evening as well. But yeah, this is an exciting one to kick things off. And yeah, next week's going to be, I think, even more wild and probably a crazier, I guess you could say, Daytona Talladega with these drivers at that 1 mile at Dover.
Yeah, for sure. If you thought Vegas was difficult to get onto pit road, oh boy, next week is gonna be crazy. But yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. Dover's gonna be a little bit different here in the Dark Horse Area 51's IndyCar series. So I would definitely make sure you tune in next week. It's going to be quite an adventure, I guarantee. If Vegas didn't have enough action for you, I'm sure Dover will have just as much, if not more. But should be a lot of fun. And after that, we'll get back to Pocono, one of the, like you mentioned earlier, Gael, one of the bread and butter tracks for IndyCar. So an exciting battle there too. But yeah, back in the swing of the season, and should be a good one so far. If the first race of the season was any indication of how the rest of the season is going to go, it's going to be a fun battle for sure.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to see what these guys have the rest of the way, because exactly right. This is going to be a lot of fun to see how it's all going to shake out. And as I say, again, a great start off to the season. Going to be a little bit, of course, always a little bit of growing pains here and there, but as I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of kind of adjustments and growing from there, but yeah, it's going to be fun to see. So that's going to be it for us tonight here at Green White Checker TV. So Boomer, as always, appreciate you being a part of this with me. We will be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series season opener. I'll be over there, I believe, probably with Maxwell Caldwell and or Chris Django Matthews helping me out over there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And definitely stay tuned because we're going to be giving Maxwell the controls here soon. He's going to be able to start running these broadcasts. So he's going to get his feet wet like we were able to get you going, Boomer, last season. So just adding the talent to the level over here at Green White Checker TV. It's been so much fun to see. But yeah, so definitely appreciate everybody that watches and supports us. And Boomer, thank you again, sir. And we will be chatting soon. And everybody watching, thank you all so much for watching, supporting us. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all on Thursday.